Hey folks, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Excuse me here. Had to get a little coffee. We're at Circuit World here in Blue Ridge. We do have our Pet of the Week coming up, so don't you go anywhere.
It's worth staying for.
Huh?
It's worth staying
Yes,
for.
don't go anywhere. But it's now time for North Georgia Senior Living with Jesse Barton, the Community Relations Director of Cameron Hall. Jesse, how are you?
I'm good. It's Friday. Yay!
All right, so this is Fall Prevention Month.
Yes, and not fall as in the season.
I wanted to separate because this actually is our first program of fall.
It is, because Tuesday the 22nd was the first day of fall.
Well, okay, so let's see. How do you there's like that word that you want to be really cautious because you don't want to call anybody anything, but if it applies to yourself, I could be a little clumsy. Was that bad?
No. I mean, as long as you're admitting it yourself, and even though I had years of ballet and can be somewhat graceful, I run into things because I have no depth perception.
But Fall Prevention Month, what are we actually talking about, and how is, when people hear that and say, well, how do you do that? How do you prevent fall, and what are some of the things we want to be aware of, and why is that so important?
So we'll start with kind of the importance, because when I first got into senior living, I hadn't really had a lot of experience with the senior generation. My family's very young, and I was like, why are we so worried about them falling? What's going to happen? So the more I learned is falls can lead to worse things. So a lot of times we could have a fall, and as our bones age, they become a little more brittle. It's easier to fracture bones. There's also a main artery that a hip fracture could cause to be cut. So there's a lot of things that can result from a fall. So maybe the fall isn't so bad itself, but it's what can happen from the fall. And when you talk to people, they'll be like, yeah, mom and dad started really declining after they had a fall. So
okay, that's what I was thinking. When we talk about fall prevention and why is it important, there's a lot of times, and you struck exactly a memory with me. It's after mom or dad had a fall, and you hear that all too often.
A lot.
After they had a fall, things change, and the reality is us accepting that our bones are not quite the same as when we fell out of the tree and bumped our elbow as a kid. This is different now.
Very.
And it could change things. So prevention, the word prevention, how do you prevent falls? What is the awareness that we're trying to bring people to understand?
So right now is a great time of year. I always start with a home assessment. Do a home safety assessment, and we do have a program in Gilmer County that is through the community paramedicine where they can come do this home safety assessment, or call me at Cameron Hall and I'll be glad to talk to you and give you some tips. But I always start from the moment you pull up to your house. So let's say you're a senior still driving, you pull up to your house. Is your sidewalk free of debris? Is your sidewalk, especially this time of year on a rainy day like today when the leaves are starting to fall, they get a little wet, you step on it, that could happen to anybody, any of us. So, make sure that you're keeping your sidewalks free of debris. Do you have proper handrails as you're going up the stairs? It can be, once you go inside the home, do you have throw rugs laying around? Some of those are really flimsy and you can step on it. Do you have cords? I'm looking around here, as we've set up for this. If this were in a home situation and you've got extension cords or heater cords, those kind of things stretched across the floor, you may not think to look at them. How is the lighting, especially in stairways? Is it dim? Is it easy to see where you're stepping? So maybe adding some lighting along the stairway. I mean, there's so much.
You know, I'm going to say this, and I'm not joking. We don't want to, and I'm going to talk to myself. We don't want to accept things next levels, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this jokingly, okay? We used to live at a house where the bedroom was upstairs, and I would not say it jokingly, but I would say, I'm moving the day I fall down the steps, I'm moving, and I'm going to find a house with a bedroom on the main level. No more steps.
Sure.
All jokes aside, I came down the steps. I'm telling this on myself, and I noticed that last step was very long. I missed a step. Get it?
Yep.
Ta-da!
Yep.
And the next thing I know, I'm laying, and I like this, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, I think it was about 6 weeks later, I lived in a different house with a bedroom on the lower floor
Sure.
with no steps.
Sure.
Now, I don't say that, but we just have to accept some things, because what I hear all the time, and I don't want to get sidetracked, is as we age, we don't want to and don't have to lose quality of life.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So you go to the doctor and you put things off and you don't do things, and you go to the doctor and the doctor puts you on this medication that you've been fighting for God knows how long. But then you go back for the checkup and your doctor says, look, your quality of life has already changed. So a handrail that you don't want in your home, you know, certain things that you don't want to change.
Your mom's grab bars.
Oh, we've talked about those all too often.
Yep.
But if you prevent a fall, your quality of life, you maintain quality of life. And you don't want to take, I call it, you don't want to go through, when you start aging, whether you want to admit it or not. I know you're not ready to do any of that, young lady. Okay, some of
Wisdom
us,
streaks in my hair.
some of us are starting to accept some things are changing. What doesn't have to change, accept some things are changing, but what doesn't have to change is quality of life. And the way that doesn't change is if you'll do the things that to help, not take it away.
Sure.
Am I out there? And
No, I agree, because, and I don't know if I've told this on the show, but you know, Brian, unfortunately,
yes, I've seen
tore his ACL on vacation, tore his meniscus.
I saw some pictures say this is how we start our day now. Rehab.
Yes, he's going to physical therapy.
Yes.
But even just that little bit has made us aware of our bathroom is not set up. He's having to use a shower chair because he's in a full leg brace. So we're realizing that even us at our age, there's things that we need to start looking at to prepare for, you know, because the time is going to come. We don't want to admit that we're aging, but it's going to come. And the opposite of that, you know, is not having that old age come. And so, you know, we know that we need to prepare for this because we want that. We want quality of life. But also, on the flip side of that, another way that you can help prevent falls is to stay active. That's one thing I've seen from him is he's lost so much muscle tone in his legs from not being able to really use that right leg. So, you know, continue to stay active. Lift some little weights. Some of our gyms in the area offer programs called Silver Sneakers, which is an exercise program that can sometimes be paid for through insurance. A lot of the physical therapy places have wellness programs. So continue to stay active. By lifting those weights, you're keeping your bones nice and strong. So there's other ways to prevent those falls down the road.
Is there information out there you can go get, like these are recommendations to prevent falls in your home, like you said, you know, wet leaves, cords, things in your house, handrails, things of that nature? Or
There are.
Is there places people can go get this information?
So I will actually publish a checklist to Cameron Hall's Facebook page. So if you're on Facebook, be sure to follow Cameron Hall of LJ, and I'll post that there this afternoon along with this video. I'll send it over to you if you'd like to post it to Fetch, but you can
Sure.
also go to our Cameron Hall of LJ website and search our blog for, you know, checklist, what happens when falls occur.
You know, folks, I will say this. See, always have to be cautious how I say something, but if you jump off the ladder onto the roof and you roll off and you hit the front yard, you get bruised up if you're 25 years old. If you're 65, it's a whole different story. Just so take it easy out there. Extension cords, slip and fall moments, things left around the house that somebody could trip on. Don't leave things on the steps, those kind of things. But there's a whole list. She's going to post a list of things you can do to help prevent falls. Not fall, our first show of fall prevention month.
That's why I had to wear my scarf, is it's our first Fall Friday.
Yeah, I don't want to hear spice cider, hot cider, pumpkin spice. Yeah, she's one of those types, all the nice fall stuff. You like that, don't you?
I love it.
I
was born in the fall. Of course
there
I have
you
to love
go.
it.
North Georgia Senior Living with Jesse Barton, the Community Relations Director at Cameron Hall, ready to take your questions, help you in any way if it's time to make that next transition in your life to senior living or anything else that pertains to senior living. Don't hesitate to get in touch with Jesse. How can they get in touch with you?
Call me at 706-515-4100.
Folks, it's now time for Puppy Power, right? Puppy Power?
Oh, it's so cute.
All right, and we will have a puppy from the Humane Society of Blue Ridge as soon as we return. Thank you, Jesse.
Thanks, Brian.